All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining our regular board meeting in the Kirkwood Meadows Public Utility District. Uh, this is going to start with our call to order. We'll move on to then item number 2, roll call. Anderson here. FC still here. Schroeder here. Robert here, and two people not coming in.
Absent.
Okay, absent. Okay, we'll move on to number 3, announcements.
Just like to welcome everyone to the regularly scheduled board meeting. And if you're online, please use the raise your hand function. And if you're here in person, please go to the podium to speak so our speakers will pick you up.
We'll now move on to agenda item number 4, corrections to the agenda or the consent calendar. No one have any corrections?
Not me.
Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to item 5. This is comments from the audience. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address the board on any short non-agenda items that are within our matter jurisdiction of the district. We can't take action on anything not listed on the agenda per the Brown Act. So I will open the floor, and again, if you're here in the room, please come to the podium. Go ahead, Jay. You.
Hi, my name is Jay Dwyer. I'm a homeowner, a small business owner here in the Valley, and a full-time year-round resident. I just want to make 2 comments right now. One, when it comes to the utilities and the general maintenance and upkeep and these projects that keep coming up, I just want to ask the board to maybe try to consider those projects years in advance, right? We have asbestos pipe that 10 years ago needed to be changed. We can maybe start thinking about those things in the future, or thinking about them now to plan for them in the future so that it doesn't just get thrown on us all at once. Yeah. The second thing that I wanted to comment on is I heard that there's going to be a management positioning opening up in the district. And I wanted to let the board know that I think Brandy Benson is the best person to fill that position. She's been living and working in this valley for 20 years. She probably knows more about what's buried under the ground than anybody in this world, in this valley. She lives here full-time year-round with her family. I know she loves this valley just as much as I do. And I know that if you put her in that position, she will give us another solid 20 years. And then we'll have that experience in here in the district to keep it going.
Thanks, Jay. I would say for your first comment, you're well noted, and I appreciate that feedback. For number 2, I would say let's hold that to, because that's kind of, I would say, actually related to an agenda item that we already have. So let's have maybe more of a comment on that time. That'd be great. Thank you for both of those. I don't see any other comments in the room. I don't see any hands up online. So we'll move on to agenda number 6, written comments from the public. I believe the only things that we had were the hearing, public hearing, so I didn't see anything in the board packet for those. Move on to agenda number 7, adoption of the consent calendar. There are 3 items here: minutes from August 1st, consent for claims, and the receivables and shut-offs report.
I move adoption of the consent calendar.
Well,
Second. Peter can say.
yeah, I'll second. Okay, Peter seconds. All in favor, indicate with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Opposed. Agenda item 8 does not have any items to discuss. So now we're going to talk in closed session. The board will convene to discuss 2 items regarding the general manager appointment and closed session regarding conference with labor negotiators. We'll come back from that session, report out on that conversation, and then we'll move on to agenda item 10, which are more typical public comments. So bear with us for a few minutes and we'll be back as soon as we can. Okay. The board is now reconvened from closed session. In the closed session, the labor negotiators updated the board. They were tasked from our last meeting with providing the board with options in terms of filling the general manager position. There are no further actions that came out of the closed session, proper to the closed session topics. Okay. Let me ask. I will just ask if the community has any questions on the board what's in the board packet. The next agenda item is 10A, the general manager contract. So these are all related in terms of what has happened. There is a write-up John and I put together that includes who we talked to and what we did. And maybe Eric, if you can scroll down, that would be helpful. That's down on page 26 of the board packet. I want to highlight here that we did talk to both Assistant General Manager Ansel and Operations Benson. We talked to our Terry Leach, our Administrative Manager, and John Campbell, Election Program Project Manager. We also posted this job internally for all internal candidates to apply. We received one application from Rick Ansel for the position. And so, as you can see in our document, we also talked with a consulting firm. Lots of things here, so I won't go through line by line here, but there are some recommendations that the board came out with, where the labor negotiators came out with, which was to appoint Rick as general manager under a 1-year contract, which is renewable annually. And then we will think about an external search for his eventual replacement, and that can include and encourage internal candidates at that time. And give another couple of recommendations that he signed a contract on behalf of the district to have Eric provide consulting services during the transition for any crossover that needs to happen during that transition time. And then we'll talk about our org structure, appropriate and fire emergency services decision.
Just one point I think you should mention in there is you posted the position internally,
That's right. So
and there was one
that's right. So we posted
applicant.
on August 3rd, if I remember correctly, as we posted internally, and there was only one applicant for the position.
Everyone internally was offered the chance
Correct.
to
Everyone
apply if they wanted to.
That's exactly right. Everyone. And we spoke to the 4 people I mentioned, and of those people, when the opportunity was presented to apply for this position, only one person stepped forward to apply. Okay. So now let me open up to public questions and comments. So if you have a comment, why don't you go to the podium for me, please?
I don't know, more of just a question and
Sure.
just clarity to make sure I understand. So it sounds like there is still an open process for this position. So Rick Ansel is going to be the interim general manager, and there's still applications being considered for the.
Now, there's,
Now-
Rick, we're offering Rick a 1-year contract to be a general manager that's renewable on an annual basis. And then one of Rick's tasks is gonna be, he's got a fairly short timeline on how long he wants to be general manager. So it's to recruit and a replacement, which will include both an external search and internal candidates in consideration.
I only learned this week of the change in the general manager. Has this been something that has been kind of publicly circulated that?
It was. We agendized this the August 1st meeting, and we had a closed session with 3 agenda items, and we reported out.
The reason why it's accelerated is in the contract, we have a 6-month notice period, so normally we'd have 6 months to work through this because of some extenuating circumstances. Eric's retiring earlier, so he did give us a good amount of as much notice as we could, but we didn't get a full 6 months like we normally would. So it is a bit accelerated.
But it's been public. This was in our public meeting on August 1st and discussed it and reported out that we accepted his resignation effective September 5th at that August 1st. So, like I said, John and I have been working hard over the last month to provide the options to the board as we were tasked with. Go ahead, Jim.
What type of advertising did you guys do outside of the district to find somebody?
None.
I think you should.
That's one of the recommendations here.
Yeah.
Is that we're going to have Rick ask him to sign for a 1-year contract, and then part of his responsibility is to have an external search, which we will then have internal candidates available to apply for. That's right.
I think you should question that 1-year contract and start looking right away. Thank you.
Any other?
I don't see any other hands up line or in the room. Okay.
So since I wasn't on the labor team,
Yes.
I want to express my appreciation for the amount of time and energy. I very much like the direction you proposed. And I've worked with Rick for many years, and I think he can do an excellent job. So I look forward to helping him accomplish that.
Thanks for the comment. Any other comments, questions? Okay. So, agenda 10A would be to, for the board to authorize us to give the contract that's in there to Rick to sign and myself and Peter to sign.
I move that we authorize the labor committee to present this to Rick for his signature.
All right, a second.
I second.
All in favor, indicate with aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Well, we will work on that immediately after the board meeting to sign that document. Great. Forward. All right.
Just saying, if you signed it now, you could get rid of me now. Save yourself. a few-
Yeah, not so quick. We have some questions for you. Nice try though.
Let's move on to 10B. Finances. Did you, Rick?
Good afternoon. All right, so we have the June finances, overview and budget variances. Any questions on the variances and the overview?
We already went through this in finance, so. Yeah.
And there weren't a lot of questions. They, pretty standard month.
Okay. Moving down to the balance sheet. Any questions on June's balance sheet? Nope. Okay. Income statement. We have the combined income statement and then also the individual funds. Any questions on?
No, I
June's
mean,
statement?
obviously it's not a great month, right? Explained in the summary front were the operations expenses. So we got hit with some operation expenses, so those were higher than budgeted, and of course, the usage was lower than budgeted, and that's really, a lot of that is just based on a 5-year historical average. And so we're coming in lower than that average. So that's kind of the synopsis of what caused us to be lower than we'd like to be with regards to operating income.
I mean, the year to date looks very close.
Yeah, very close.
Okay, moving down to the July preliminary statement. Any questions?
Questions? Nope.
No?
Right.
Okay, cash flow. Any questions on the cash flow spreadsheet? No.
And this is, I think, the first
Yeah.
time the board's seen the new cash flow for the current fiscal year, because we didn't have June's in there, so. And again, as every year, December is always our worst, but we're still doing very well.
Yeah.
Is that it?
All right, all good. You're off easy.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
We'll move on to agenda item C. This is the Alpine County AMP conversations on fire emergency medical services in Kirkland. So a couple of things have happened since our August 1st meeting. Conversations do continue with friends here in Alpine County about being able to provide contracted service for fire emergency services here in Valley. Since the board meeting on August 1st, we did a few things internally. KMP staff worked with our consultant to update the engineer's report using the numbers as people might remember we talked about. There's a kind of X plus Y minus Z, which those are the three components that we had to kind of make sure that we're all aligned with to get that final number to put into the engineer's report, which comes out to about $308,000, if I remember correctly, Eric, is number, that ballpark that we'd be asking for in the engineer's report.
No, it was 365. And we used 370. 365 and 370 is
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, whatever. Okay, so 300 some $1,000.
7.
I apologize, but I had the number off there a little bit, but we also created the survey that would be potentially sent to our customers as a reminder. The survey would not be the official 218. This is just for everyone as we learn through Measure E process. We have feedback that you want to be able to see the exact allocation, exact dollars that they'd be asked to pay, given the level of service that we have agreed to. The same time, we've been talking to Alpine County. There has been an important change in Alpine County staffing in that Nicole Williamson, who is the CAO of Alpine County, has moved out of that position, retired. And there is a new CAO who stepped in, Charles McKee. Has really good conversations with Charles, is really interested in the process and has heard about this process from staff and supervisors that we have worked with on this. However, he did, say that in conversations that he wants to make sure he has his own fresh eyes on this and be able to ask questions to Chief Washam, Supervisor Woodrow, and other staff members to make sure he understands how to take this forward with the Board of Supervisors in Alpine County. And so that's just him doing diligence in his new role. And he has stated that he intends to have the budget as proposed, working through and making sure everything is, as he expects. In front of the Board of Supervisors on their September 16th meeting. We had hoped that they would have happened we talked about the timelines before this meeting. But because it's going to now happen after this KMPD board meeting, John and I, in our roles to the conversations with Alpine County, we recommended that we pause the delivery of the survey to our customers, so as to make sure that in case there were any adjustments that might come out of the conversations that Charles is having with the Board of Supervisors, Chief Washam, that we're able to reflect that and making sure that we have an accurate number to our community. I'm hopeful that it won't change significantly, but that is the process and recommendation that we've gone through since the last meeting. And then supplementing this report, there is an updated timeline. This timeline we presented multiple times, I think in April, March, May, June timelines. This has now been updated to reflect the potential process that we would have about when the survey would go out, when the 218 process would be initiated, to formally then potentially vote on the allocations for relative to your benefit received. So with that, so that's the public for any questions. Good.
I think this is a fantastic idea. And I really think we need to get the entire community around it and really hammer it in that this is what we should do as a community. And I think what I'm asking the board is when it comes time to telling the community about this, we need to go out, all out. Every HOA, every condo, there needs to be a flyer hanging on the wall. There needs to be multiple flyers hanging on the wall, like multiple emails going out to all of the ratepayers. Like, we really need to help the community understand that this is extremely important and this is the best deal that we're going to get. And if we do that in a positive way, I can guarantee this community will back this proposal.
Cool. Thanks, Jay. Thanks. I agree. I'm gonna try to keep every HOA and partner in the loop on this for a long time. And after this meeting, we'll continue to do so. I mean, it's something I've been trying to personally, my role down with the board to make sure people are hearing this loud and clear. But I think the count now is up to 7 or 8 HOA meetings that I've attended annual meetings. They're not all 4th of July weekend anymore. They do spread out. Some are on Zoom. So I was on one last week actually. Again, brought this all up with them and mentioned this is one key priority items there. So appreciate that. And then I made a comment at the KME meeting over the summer, Jay, so appreciate that too. Okay, I'm looking. Just the final number that went with the engineer's report, just so I make sure I said that correctly.
370.
370.
Okay. All right. Anyway, any other questions? Comments?
In the public or?
Public? Okay. Okay, I don't see any other public comments or any questions.
Well, let me just say that the survey is not ready to go out. It's in process.
Sure, there's some open questions.
Okay, so I'd like to at least bring up the open questions, whether we resolve them now or not. So in the actual real 218 process, all votes are by mail. Every property will get a separate ballot. So for example, there's Heavenly Valley LP will get has 38 properties. They would receive 38 ballots to the address identified with the county assessors. So that's the way the actual ballot will look. If we mimic that, it would take a long time for people to get the results back. So I'd like to first just introduce the ideas, and rather than simulating the real process as much as possible, that we try to make it as simple as possible. So one simplification would be where we can identify it's the same people, give them one document that shows all of the properties and a total, rather than sending them a document, which is either an email or print for every property. So that's one open question. What we want to do. The second is some of these do not specifically have emails, but it's likely that we can figure out who the email is. And so so if we can figure out who the email is, we can send them an email link to vote. If not, they will get a printed letter with a QR code that if they use that will bring them to their unique page for voting. That's the proposal for how to operate that. The third issue is to go through, which I've done in places where the names, matching it by names, there's some places where there's a middle initial and somewhere it's missing. If you reconcile that, then you cut down a lot of duplication. But there's basically 68 people who have more than one property. And so matching those up, I've done that. If we want to consolidate as much as possible, we can do that if we don't have to. And so the program we're doing this needs some direction.
Well, the first one is, for an owner of multiple properties, would there be a reason they would vote differently for different properties? So we probably need to accommodate that. I don't know if you send them one ballot with 38 boxes to check or.
No, it would just be, here's your total. Are you willing to support that dollar amount?
Right, well, my question was if you had 38 properties, would be a reason they vote differently for properties? Different properties. You know. Are some developed and some undeveloped or like that?
Well, if it passes, they're going to pay that fee on all of their properties. So it's like saying I'm 80% for this person.
I don't know their structure, so it's what I was.
Yeah,
The formal 218 that would get 38.
yeah, and they could say, well, these properties supported, these don't. But it either they all get charged or none get charged. So I'm not sure that there's a logic where someone would say, right, I'm not quite, I don't understand the logic, unless somebody misunderstood the question. You're either supporting this across all properties or none.
Nullifying your vote by splitting it 50-50.
That's effectively what you're doing. Now, the votes are proportional to the fee. So if someone has $100 fee and someone else who has 50, the $100 fee counts more. So The votes are weighted by the size of the fee. So these questions would need to be, I need to know the answer to those in time to meet the deadline. The other thing I would suggest, looking at the letter that was prepared, it doesn't subtract the current fee. So we're not showing them the actual total increase because we haven't subtracted off the fee that they no longer pay, even though that's small by comparison. So I don't know if you want to change.
I would be hesitant to put that on the survey because we cannot put it on the 218 notices. You cannot, that delete, so they're gonna get, if they get two different numbers, that's gonna lead to
Yeah, okay.
questions, so I would
That's a good
eliminate that. And
Question.
staff has given our recommendations to Bob on all these questions, which is, you know, yeah, send one. If someone has multiple accounts, send them one email. They'll get the 38 if it goes to a real 218, but for now,
Right.
I don't think anyone's gonna vote.
The crux of this being, are we trying to replicate the formal 218, or are we trying to make it easy for our customers?
Much simpler.
You know,
For 218 is 3 pages. This is.
Well, I also worry if someone has 6 properties and they only notice the first one.
Right.
They're gonna get surprised that
Yeah,
these others aren't counted in total.
yeah, my general feeling is that we should make this as easy for our customers as possible in the most cost-effective way. So instead of mailing 38 letters or mail one, or you can have this email, obviously, but like, I think the guiding principle for this is that this is not the official process. It would be different. I don't think that's a critical thing. We can state that clearly to our customers that this will look a little bit different and you have to look out for all your properties, but this is really for us to gauge interest and appetite for it than it is anything. So I think this just make it as easy as possible.
Yeah, you don't see any reason why someone would vote differently by property than combined.
Yeah, that's our recommendation.
There's no I can't come up with a rational reason.
No, I was just.
But it could be, there could be an accidental.
A mistake is basically the only rational reason.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like we had, you know, on the rate hearing today, we had people speak opposed to the rate hearing that didn't vote for the manganese. So it's a little like, well, you didn't try to support us here. So it's just a mistake, I think.
Okay, so I think your guidance in the email is such that we are making it easy for our customers.
Okay,
And what are you gonna do with all the middle initials?
I've already gone through and resolved.
Okay.
I would have gone by Citus address. That would have been the easiest way to resolve.
I did it by shipment address. I first resolved those.
And then you still had oddballs.
And no, actually, that pretty much
Okay.
made it clear.
That should be the one thing that's consistent.
Okay, so we'll work on finalizing the survey. So it can go out, and again, hopefully it'll be soon after the September 16th Alpine County Board of Supervisors meeting. So I anticipate, you know, for anyone listening here, by the end of September, mid to end of September is when we should be able to get the surveys out.
Well, in your schedule, you say the 17th.
I did say that, but assuming that we can finalize all this, but I mean, again, that's anticipated if there were no changes whatsoever from the Board of Supervisors, but if there were changes, that would obviously come into play a little bit, like.
You moved it out one day.
No, he moved it out
Oh, 1 week.
8
Sorry,
days.
1 week.
Maybe 8 days.
Okay, and when you want the due date back for people to respond?
Yeah, I mean, I think according to the timeline, right, my desire would be then that way we could have the results, something that we could talk about at the October 3rd KNP board meeting. So.
So we close the survey on the 2nd.
Close the survey on the 2nd. So that way we can have it there. So it would be open for at least a couple of weeks, which I think in our history of surveys, that's primarily when people respond.
Yeah.
But in all, again, and then just to be clear, all of this in terms of the total budget, all these things will be in the email. We'll have the finalized, again, we have the engineer's report that was updated. I was just looking at the draft of it here. So we have the pieces, there will be links to these documents. So everyone should know, all these pieces of information. And if you have any questions, please reach out and let us know.
I'll throw out one more suggestion.
Sure.
And that'd be to schedule a Zoom call for kind of like halfway through. So if people actually do have questions, there's a defined date. And if nobody signs up, then they all understand.
Is that what that means?
Yeah, might be. Or they didn't.
So the, like another community forum type of
Uh,
thing, like go through what the survey was and.
it'd be there for answering questions.
All right, so. All right, I don't think we have any action then, Eric, at this point.
I don't believe so, no. Any update from Alpine County you want to share or?
Yeah, so Terry, do you want, anything you want to mention from the voice of Welch perspective?
You just, from what I understand, September 16th is the date that it will come before us.
Okay, I will move on to agenda item 10D. Page 52. So as spoke of, as you know, as we started talking about on August 1st, and you've all heard today that have been attending this meeting, we have Eric Christensen's retirement effective today. And so the board has drafted this resolution, and I will read it out in respect of Eric, and he will not like it, but you will deal with it anyway. So this is resolution number 25-06. This is the resolution of the Board of Directors, Kirkwood Meadows Public Utility District, honoring General Manager Eric Christensen for 8 years of service. Whereas Eric has served with distinction as General Manager of Kirkwood Meadows Public Utility District from September 2017 to September 2025, and improved the operations of the district by conforming to industry standards, bringing the district in compliance with all applicable codes and procedures, and led the creation of standards for customer construction, improving overall safety and quality, and led the development of master plans for all utilities, providing clear multi-year guidance, improved reliability, and improved the financial strength of each utility, and led the district through the COVID-19 experience, providing continuous reliable services in a safe working environment, and led the reconditioning of the wastewater treatment plant on time and under budget, and advocated for the district in negotiations and conversations with developers and the Kirkwood community, and recognized the need to change the structure of the Kirkwood Volunteer Fire Department. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of the Kirkwood Meadows Public Utility District expresses deep appreciation to Eric Christensen for his many hours of public service to the people of Kirkwood, California, and for his valuable contributions. We wish him and his family the very best in his retirement.
I move adoption of resolution 25.06.
Is there a second?
I'll say.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Eric, it is passed unanimously.
Yeah, we have one other thing, Eric. This is our big chance to embarrass you, and I just don't want to lose any. So, this is going to arrive in 2 pieces. We'd like to present you with this signed photo,
Very nice.
which comes in a frame, but we're waiting for Brandy to sign. She'll sign it at 3:10,
Okay,
and then I'll put it in the frame
okay.
for you.
All right. I
But we
appreciate
wanted
it.
to-
Thank
and
you very
again,
much.
What it says, thank you for your leadership at KMPUD from the management and board. We
Thank
all
you.
signed in different colors.
Very nice.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it. Thank you, John.
Thanks, man.
Peter.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to agenda item 11. Your last go around on major project updates.
Yeah, I was able to knock one column off before before I left. So we're continuing on. Nothing terribly has changed. I would note that there was no contested office for the election of directors. So the Board of Supervisors will certify that result. I think probably 16th. I'm assuming Teal probably already has that ready to go. Yeah. So anyway, so that there will be no election. That's the only thing that's changed on here that I did not capture. So any questions on the projects?
Your last general manager report.
Yeah, short and sweet.
What's the, did you identify someone to do the electric rate study?
No, remember you and I were gonna get together and go over our notes. I think we had 3 people that we had met,
Uh-huh,
so we need to do that still.
okay,
So
so
we
you have your notes?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Oh, no, yes, I definitely have at least 2 emails. I
Okay,
just have to dig them out of my emails, but I definitely,
Alright.
'cause they reached out to me afterwards.
okay,
2 of them. You met a third that I didn't meet, though. I know that.
all right,
We can reach back out to SMUD
yeah,
and
okay.
see who the
All right,
attendees
so
were,
we'll-
because they didn't have one in Trinity this year. They canceled because
Yeah, I know, yeah.
which was disappointing, but we could reach back out to Mindy at SMUD. I have her contact information still, so
Okay,
and see who the attendees were. I'm sure they kept the attendees list.
yeah, okay, all right,
But yeah, you and I
Yeah.
can work on that when we
Okay.
get some time and Rick.
Yeah.
General manager report.
easy operation.
See ya. Nope, nothing to report. We've covered everything and Rick's been passing everything off to Rick and there will be, so just to prepare the board for next month and I prepared Rick, because he'll be in charge of dealing with it, but there will be a lot of resolutions that this board will have to adopt. Like bank cards, signatures and USD authorized users. And there's probably, we're guessing about a dozen resolutions this board will need to adopt. So in the interim, Rick has access to me. He has all my logins and passwords for those things if anything comes up that I'm not available to handle. So, but you will need to do a lot of delegation of Rick on those various things. So it will look like a long agenda next month, but those items will not really add a whole lot to it. They're just by rote. So anything else we should talk about?
That's it.
The only other thing I would mention is we're having some issues trying to get the snow removal contracts out for Port Server. So we needed to meet with you, Bob, at some point. So maybe we could set a meeting for the 3 of us next week sometime. Just we're struggling. So yeah, and maybe if we get done early enough, we can even do it today.
Yeah,
So, because we know the amount and we know the percentages, so really it's just plugging and chugging, but I keep getting set to September 1st of 2026, or sorry, July 1st of 26, and it should be 25, and so it's not populating. So, yeah.
2 weeks.
Yeah, anything else we talked about that I might pass off?
Yeah.
I made him sign his first thing as general manager today, though, so that was fun.
Yeah. Thanks.
You're welcome. All right, I'm done.
Operations report.
Just briefly for fire, we're up to 95 calls for the month, for the year, and there were 10 calls for the month of August. Actually have pretty good participation with volunteers. We only had 2 shifts that were missing for the last month, where just 1 volunteer firefighter was covered, but I think moving forward with the Title 22 class that we'll be hosting here at the KBFD, and the end of the month, we'll certainly encourage more to participate. We've hired a consultant, I think I've mentioned it before, Sherry, to come out to teach the class. We've also invited Eastern Alpine County volunteers as well to participate. So that's the required course that we all need to be a volunteer firefighter if you're not an EMT. And so we're excited to be able to host that class, which is going to be funded through the 501c3. Other than that, operations is starting to think about winter, of course. And so staff is slowly, with the expectation of cooler temperatures next week, we're talking about the things that we do at this time of year. And making sure the heaters are in the lodge tanks, for example, keep the tanks from freezing. And there's a bunch of other little small things, but the one thing that you might still see up is the playground. Usually it's like green light after Labor Day, boom, take it down. But probably because the equipment's newer and in better shape, it's easier to disassemble. So we'll probably wait another few weeks to do that, but it will be coming down before the snow flies, of course.
You mentioned about the snow removal contracts, which we'll get those out next week. And we've got Melanie, who's replacing Chris, who sent them out last year. We'll be working with Melanie and Terry to make sure that gets done. And that concludes operations, unless there's any questions from the board.
And the snow removal contracts start October
15th, correct,
October 15th.
through May 15th.
Okay. Let's move over to standing committee reports.
Actually,
I'll just stay there.
Finance?
Good man.
Nothing.
You should look, I see now.
we've had, talking about, district staff, put bollards up on our hydrant on Fremont Court. That had need to be replaced because it's 55 years old and wasn't working. And, in my opinion, they did it's a real impressive job. If you're interested, you can drive by there. It's got, the pipes are what, 6 feet high? at least?
They're a little high, but yeah, they're present.
It'll be easy to, for snow removal to find the hydrant.
Well, I mean, we're still staking behind, well, stake them in addition to those.
Right.
places.
It's pretty close this time.
And then, one of our committee members has announced that he wants to retire from the committee. That's Eric Ricker. And, he's done a good job. And, there's also a request by Greg McManus to maybe, join that committee. And Preston Roper expressed a desire for us to, and so did Bob Epstein, to put some energy into the public benefits charge. It's just sitting there doing nothing except accruing. And unfortunately, we can't. We're really limited to what we can spend it on. Unfortunately, we can't just. We couldn't just spend it on fire protection.
Just to be really clear on that though, it's not doing nothing in the sense that it can't do anything, right? We have.
There's
There's
no demand, but there's minimum demand for the programs that were set up. And it's a significant amount of money, so is there something we can do better?
Just to make sure it was very clear that we did institute the programs that we had talked about, and they are available to our customers for
Yeah.
use.
Yeah.
That is not,
Nobody's really taken that.
There's been a few cases,
But not too many.
not enough to drain down the money.
No,
No time to read it.
Outside of that, that's all I have to report for EOP.
Yeah.
And
Reviewing.
Ricky, you said you were gonna put some information together on the public's benefit chart for our next meeting in October.
Yeah, for October, the
Yeah.
performance report, reviewing that, and then, what was the third one? The third one. Anyway, you'll see those in October.
Right.
personnel, you've heard a lot about personnel already today. IT cybersecurity, Bob.
We haven't, it didn't meet since the last.
In communications, there's a report in the packet. I have nothing more to add than what was already reported. LAFCO. Okay, there are no temporary advisory committees for agenda item 15, and so we'll move on to agenda item 16, which is general board discussion. General board discussion.
I just want to again express my appreciation for Eric. Everything that he's done, and wish you great success and whatever comes next.
thank you.
Congrats to Rick.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing before wrapping as well. So, Eric, thank you for 8 years. Really appreciate it. Wish you and your family all the best, and hopefully you'll keep in touch. Don't be a complete stranger to Kirkwood. And Rick, really looking forward to you, and thank you for your decades of work already in Kirkwood, and looking forward to the new journeys together. So, thank you. All right. With that, we'll move on to agenda item 17, adjournment. And just to remind everyone, the next board meeting will be regularly scheduled for Friday, October 3rd, 2025, 2 p.m. Look forward to seeing you all there. Thank you so much.